Welcome to Turner Classic Movies. I'm Eddie Muller, and tonight I'm bringing you a primetime annex of Noir Alley, featuring several neo-noir films I've personally chosen for the occasion. The term neo-noir was first coined by film scholars in the late 1960s to differentiate contemporary crime films from those made during the original noir movement of the 40s. For some, the distinction was easy. A color film, like the 1966 private eye thriller Harper, starring Paul Newman, was obviously neo-noir. But so much had changed by the mid-60s in society and cinemas, it wasn't always that simple to discern the trace amounts of noir DNA in contemporary movies. Take, for example, our first film tonight, Point Blank, released by MGM in 1967. It seems like a straightforward old-school plot. A crook goes after the rat who stole his share from a robbery. But both Donald Westlake's 1963 source novel, The Hunter, and director John Boorman's film adaptation feature narrative and stylistic flourishes that are a world apart from classic black and white melodramas. Like many filmmakers at this time, Boorman was inspired by innovations in European cinema. Like Jean-Pierre Melville's Le Samouraï, also made in 1967, Point Blank took a fresh and self-consciously arty approach to familiar genre material. Connecting this film to the original noir era is its leading man, Lee Marvin. He'd come to prominence playing heavies in 1950s crime films like The Big Heat, Violent Saturday, and Bad Day at Black Rock. And by the mid-60s, he was a major star, winning an Oscar for Cat Ballou and anchoring the huge hit The Dirty Dozen. Make no mistake, Point Blank is his movie, as much as it's Boorman's. Marvin was so big at this point, MGM granted him complete control of the film, which he immediately ceded to Boorman, whom he liked and trusted. In turn, the director gave full credit for this film's ferociousness to Marvin, who took his role and the movie's avant-garde style very seriously. The film features a rogues gallery of familiar faces, including Keenan Wynn, John Vernon, and Carol O'Connor. Best of all is Angie Dickinson, who had co-starred with Marvin a few years earlier in another significant neo-noir, the 1964 version of Ernest Hemingway's The Killers. She was to neo-noir what Ella Raines was to 40s noir, not only a terrific actress, but one of the era's great style icons. The work of cinematographer Phil Lathrop is also essential to this film's vibe. He and Boorman varied the color palette from scene to scene, complementing or contrasting wardrobe and decor. The results make this one of the most visually sophisticated crime films ever. From 1967, here is Point Blank. One major difference between neo-noir movies and their progenitors is that by the late 60s, crime films could have ambiguous endings. Many viewers, like me, see Point Blank as a crime film version of Ambrose Bierce's famous short story, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, where the story turns out to be a fantasy flashing through a man's mind at the moment of his death. It's no coincidence that Walker's quest for retribution ends back where it started, with him slipping into darkness. Point Blank director John Boorman never admitted this was his intention, but in later interviews he suggested that Walker might be a ghost, haunting those who've done him dirty. Boorman also felt the film was a cathartic way for Marvin to deal with his lingering trauma from World War II, when he was badly wounded in the South Pacific. He and Boorman grappled directly with that experience the following year when they made Hell in the Pacific, co-starring Toshiro Mifune. Up next, I've got a 1977 homage to classic noir that depicts an entirely different Los Angeles than the one you just saw. So keep it right here on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, The Late Show, then Performance, and later, Walkabout. TCM turns you inside out back tonight.